But let's start with Acts, just because Acts, I think, sets the stage for everything else. That's where you see the first real cross-cultural transmission. I mean, we see it with Jesus, with different people, Syrophoenician woman, Samaritans. There's some cross-cultural things that are going on there. But we get into the book of Acts, and this is where we really see some contextualization going on. And that's what I really love, is that you set the stage for the remainder of the New Testament by showing that this is in the book of Acts from the beginning. So let's start off in the Jerusalem Council, if you will. Jerusalem Council shows up in Acts chapter 15, if I remember right. I don't have my notes in front of me, but why was that even necessary, and how do we see contextualization going on there?
Yeah, well, this is a great example of contextual theologizing in the early church, because as you remember, what prompted the Jerusalem Council was that Paul and Barnabas and folks like that were preaching the gospel to Gentiles, and they saw the Gentiles were coming to faith, and that created a reaction by some of the more conservative Jewish Christians. And they said, wait a minute, these people, if they're going to be real Christians, they have to be circumcised, they have to follow the Jewish law, just like proselytes always have done. And so it created the need for this council. And the church came together, and these different groups within the church came together in order to decide this issue. And they told stories, they told narratives of how people were coming to faith. And then people like James stood up and he gave scriptural exegesis, saying even in the Old Testament we see the need for this of going to the Gentiles. And so the council together decided on this issue that there would not be a stumbling block to the gospel by saying it has to be expressed in the same way we've always expressed it before. God is doing something new, and we need to allow the Spirit to work in this situation. And so they set some limits on what they were going to ask of the Gentiles. There were certain things that they said, okay, you've got to be for the sake of being part of one body of Jews and Gentiles, you have to refrain from certain things, but we're not going to put any barriers in the way of allowing the gospel to become real within the Gentile world and the Gentile community. And so you see the church coming together and doing this fresh contextual theologizing that allows the gospel to be free. If they had not done that, the Christian movement would have just been nipped in the bud. And allows the gospel to enter new contexts in ways that are faithful to the gospel, but also recognize that the Spirit speaks in different situations in different ways.